Hey guys, so yesterday I had the chance to go to Bethel Church, which is this church that's produced a lot of worship music. You probably have heard one of their songs at some point, as I'm traveling around the States right now. And it was a really nice experience. I mean, of course, the music was really well, produced, and they have all this like good equipment and whatnot, and it was a nice atmosphere. A lot of people came out. It was 6 in the evening, so you might not expect many people to show up, but of course it's a pretty big church, so a lot of people showing up. Uh, we were there for the first time, my fiance and I, and we got prayed over. I thought that was really nice of them to welcome us in that way. But I don't really want to talk about that so much, that experience like specifically, as opposed to more just my own reflections today, thinking about what it means to really be faithful to God and really like pursue his a relationship with him and with Jesus. Because during worship, particularly here in the States, it's much seems to be more common than in my church back in Europe anyway. People are a lot more expressive physically, right? They'll raise their hands more, they'll dance around more and whatnot, and I think that's really great. If it helps you connect more with God and worship him and praise him, by all means. It's not necessarily my style, but it's nice to see people really into it. But I also then had this thought of, well, is there an expectation to do that or behave in a certain way or worship to a certain intensity or whatnot? And at what point are we exchanging our desire to glorify the Lord with our desire to glorify ourselves in front of other believers in the church? And that's really tough because it's hard to, in my experience, it's very difficult to sort of admit that you maybe don't know something or you made a mistake theologically or whatnot. It can be a bit embarrassing, maybe feel like you're less of a Christian somehow. I don't think that's true. I think what matters is that you, in the bottom of your heart, know that you're pursuing a relationship with God and with Jesus to the best of your ability. That means, making the most of the resources you have access to, of the time that you have available, and genuinely knowing that in your heart. Like, I won't be able to know for someone else who's there, worshiping with their hands raised high, dancing, laughing, if they are doing it really like to glorify God and to praise him, or if there's also an aspect of wanting to seem that way in front of others. All I know is that it's a very personal journey, and it's so interesting. I mean, I can only really know for myself in my heart if I'm really pursuing him or not. For me, that involves, of course, worship and, of course, a lot of prayer, but also reading the word every day and reflecting on that and learning more about that. And it's just a lot of different aspects, that you can build your relationship with God in. And it shouldn't all be worship, of course, we know this. It should not also, on the other hand, all be just reading the Bible all day and not going out or doing anything, not worshiping, not praying. I mean, I was just reading John chapter 5 today, and in that, Jesus himself is, it's a slightly different context. He's talking about how people at that point in time were reading the scriptures, looking for answers, and the scriptures were pointing to him, to Jesus, but they were not acknowledging it. They were not willing to acknowledge that, and it did speak to me today in the sense of that we are also people who spend a lot of time analyzing the Bible and trying to get everything figured out in terms of all the perfect exegesis, right, and all of the getting all the context right. And I'm certainly falling more in that category. But it's important to strike a balance between doing that sort of formal study, but then bringing it back to why you're actually doing that, which is to improve and increase your relationship with our Creator God, and that also requires other aspects rather than just pure study. And yeah, I just thought it was really interesting to me. It was really a nice experience to be there. People seemed really nice at this church, and I mean, in the end of the day, if there's a message to take away from here, it's that you gotta sit back and talk with God and be honest with yourself. Are you really pursuing Him to the highest of your ability? Because there are also people out there who, myself included, worry that maybe we will make a mistake thinking we're following God, thinking we're doing something that will glorify Him and that will uh, serve Him, where in the end we'll realize that actually we were wrong. And people are afraid to even do things then because they don't want to mess up. But the truth is that if you're honestly pursuing the Lord and you're honestly trying to glorify Him in your life and reflect Jesus through your own actions in your life with others, you don't actually have to be worried about that because God sees your heart, right? And if you know that in your heart you're honestly trying to follow Him, and you might not have all the answers, I know any of us ever will, but if you're honestly trying to figure these things out for yourself, I don't think there's anything to worry about. And I think that's just really wonderful. Um, I I'm really grateful for the opportunities like these that I have to learn and reflect on what it means to be Christian, what it means to have a relationship with God, and yeah, just I'm very grateful for that, and I hope to be able to impart some of that thought and reflection to you guys, and encourage you to reflect yourself on that and your own heart. But yeah, I hope you got something out of this, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care.